Hello and welcome to Breast Friends Cancer Support Network. I'm Michelle Beck and I am your host for today and every week here. I am the patient programs assistant at Breast Friends of Oregon. I'm a two-time 9-year survivor of breast cancer. And when I have time, I write at a blog called I Never Liked Pink. So today I'm excited for multiple reasons. We're having a really amazing topic about restorative tattooing with a wonderful artist, Donna Luoma of Damselfly Inc. But this is also my 1-year anniversary show that I have been so honored to take over the reins of this podcast from our co-founder Becky Olson, who passed away last year. So Becky, this show is for you, as are all of them. And so listeners, thanks for staying with us. Please remember to share the show. And I would love a rating and a review. That would make my day for my anniversary. But let's get started. So my guest today, Donna, she is the owner of Damselfly Inc. She has a love for art and nursing background, which we're going to talk more about. And she turned it into a dream where she's helping women who have gone through cancer treatment and really have had some body image issues where they want to do things to really get back to normal. She specializes in 3D areola tattooing restoration, which is amazing. We'll talk about her website and you can go check out the images, and also permanent brow makeup, which so many women when they go through chemo and beyond, they lose their eyebrows. And it's so funny. You don't notice how important your eyebrows are until you lose them. So we're going to talk about all of those things. But Donna's goal really is to help women look and feel their most beautiful, authentic selves and who they really. It can be hard after cancer treatment. So that's what she is here. And we're going to talk about that today. So Donna, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me. And I get to spend my coffee time with you and your listeners. I appreciate
Perfect.
that. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, and I met my husband there 32 years. And we got married. I had a baby. I went, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have this little creature who depends on me. So I started with part-time school at night to get my nursing degree. It took me 5 years because, I had life and another baby. And then from there, we raised our kids there. I homeschooled them for quite a bit. And then we wanted to leave Vegas. I wanted to go someplace that had trees and four seasons, and Oregon was a place.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved here 16 years ago.
Well, welcome. I mean, I'm from Southern California, so I'm not a native Oregonian either. And 48 hours in Vegas is enough for me. So I understand the need.
Oh, well, I got to tell you, I still think that water falling from the sky is a miracle.
I appreciate that. We one of my best friends and I and our sons went to Vegas in January, and we literally just had it was like a yes weekend for our boys, and so many fun things to do. But I'm not gonna lie, I definitely prefer living here in Oregon. So glad you made it over here, or up and over to Pacific Northwest. And I mentioned previously, as did you, that you have spent the majority of your career in nursing. How did you or what's your specialty? Is it something that really spoke to your heart?
Yeah, when I started nursing back in 1994, I've been doing this for a while. I did pediatrics, I did NICU, I did peds ICU, I did ortho, cardiac, everything. And, everything was fine. And I decided, this little voice in the back of my head said, try home health, try home health. And I'm like, I don't know. All right, I'm going to try home health. And if I like it, fine. If not, I'm going to get out of nursing completely. And that was it. And so I tried it, and that was 21 years ago. So that's what I've been doing.
It really takes a person with a special heart, because I feel like people who need home health care, they're in a different class than someone who's in a hospital situation, because it's not dire, but they still need help. And being able to go into someone's home and make them feel comfortable with you being in their home and really having that connection is super special. So thank you for doing that. And so what made you, because obviously that was something you love, decide to kind of change your focus and go into tattooing and then focusing on what you do?
Right, right. Because you're like, oh,
That's
I
like that's
know.
a real left turn.
It is. Okay. So, well, I got to say, I mean, age is just a number. And, I became a newbie at age 51, I think, 52, something like that. I became a newbie and started from I don't know anything. So nursing can take a toll. And
Mhm.
what I like about home health is that you really get to see the continuum of recovery, which was so great. I mean, my last day there is bittersweet because I get to leave because I know someone's better. And I'm a people person, and I really like helping. All nurses are helpers.
Mhm.
People who are in this industry and who do nonprofits, they want to help. And I've always done art. And I was thinking, okay, again, how can you get paid for doing something you love and that you would do even if you didn't get anything from it other than a smile and a thank you?
Mhm.
And so it took me about 2 or 3 years to decide to commit because I went part-time. It's 210 theory hours and then 150 practical hours for to get a tattoo license, and you can't do permanent makeup without a tattoo license.
Okay.
And so I wanted to use what I learned in nursing, use how what I know about physiologically and healing, both the spiritual and the mental and the emotional. And so I just decided, just do it. The years are going to pass anyways. So you might as well just do it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned, kind of branching off into a new career at age 51.
Yeah.
I became a podcast host at age 49, so I'm right there with you.
Get out. See,
And
it is.
I've definitely talked to many women and read books on this, and it is so much more common now that women are actually just in midlife at 40 and 50 completely changing their whole career path
Yes,
because they're realizing that, oh gosh, while I may have done something that I love, I can still do something for another 10 or 20 years
exactly.
because we're healthier longer and living longer. And I love
Yes.
that you've able to make this transition into something that you're so passionate about. And what you do, I have not been your customer as of yet, your client, but I will, because I've had all the things done.
Oh, bless your heart.
So let's start with we're going to start from top down. So
Okay.
the semi-permanent makeup, or the brows, which
Yeah.
I didn't have chemo, so I didn't lose my hair, my brows, or anything like that. I
Mhm.
just lost my brows because of age.
Yeah.
And
You got little tufts, right? That kind
yes,
of, yeah.
and I'm so fair that it, even what I did have, I could barely see. So
Right.
I did microblading a few 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't even know.
Hmm.
And then next time I did powder brows, and
Hmm.
next time, well, I'm going to come to you and you're just going to do whatever. But
Uh-huh.
why is that not, tell me about how really the brows work in semi-permanent makeup and cosmetics.
Got it. Got it. So, yeah. So, semi-permanent is kind of a misnomer, and there's shades of gray. So, anything that gets implanted in the dermis is permanent. So, so to say that it is semi-permanent, So, the difference between tattoo ink and with pigment that we use for brows is that it's designed to fade. And that's where that kind of semi-permanent comes in,
Mhm.
because as we age, our skin gets cooler, our complexions change, people dye their hair, they don't dye their hair. And so what's great about the cosmetic industry, the permanent cosmetic industry, is those pigments are designed to fade so that when you get your touch up, and again, that's a lot of factors on the time of touch ups, um, you can then use that fade to get a different tone, to get things darker, to change the shape of your brow a little bit. So that's the misnomer, but truly it is a permanent procedure. There is products that can remove, and you can have a laser that's pretty tough on brows anyways. We do have products that can remove lighter pigment and do some changing there, but really it is a permanent procedure. It is a tattoo. It's in the dermis. And Oregon is one of the most strictest. They in Washington, they
Mhm.
don't have to have a tattoo license. They don't have to have a CPR card. They don't have to have a bloodborne pathogen certificate. We have to get that every year.
Mhm.
So anybody can take a weekend course and put up a shingle and say, I'm here to do brows.
That's a little scary.
It is, my mentor who's in Washington, her and her mentor are working really hard to try to get it through legislatures to get some sort of regulation because of this. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. How do so women come to you and they're like, okay, I've lost my brows because of chemo or because of, with me, just age and
Yeah.
life. What are their reactions when they see what you've been able to do for them?
Oh, well, you know, I got to tell you a story. So this weekend, one of my barn buddies, I have a horse and I board my horse at a barn. So one of my barn buddies,
Thank you for clarifying that.
I know, right? I was raised in a barn, folks. I was. She got her brows done, and I saw her yesterday, and I said, "So, tell me, what was what did the reaction you get?" And she was so funny. She says, people looked at me and they looked at me and they looked at me again and she's like, what? And they go, what?
Something's different, but I don't
Right,
know what.
right.
Mhm.
And she said, look, I got my brows done. And they were like, oh, and oh my God, I about burst because that's what I wanted was, you know, it didn't look like she got her brows done. And
Mhm.
that's my goal. Sometimes, you can look, the brows are beautiful that a lot of the youngsters are getting. I specialize in my ladies of 40 and up. They're my peoples.
Mhm.
The brows are beautiful and they're faded beautiful, but you look like you got your brows done. And
Right.
that's my goal is to make you look like you didn't get anything done. So there you have it.
Perfect. And we're going to start to move down the body into what you do.
Yep.
And we're going to, continue talking about all of it. But so you do the brows and
Uh-huh.
areolas. You also do regular tattooing as well. Um,
Mhm.
what is your favorite part? What do you really like to do the most in terms of the brows versus the areolas or regular tattooing? What sings to your heart?
Oh, both of them are equal but so different. Brows are more of a transformation, which is thrilling to see the before and after and see how things are framed. The areolas are more of a completion. They're more of a symbol of I did it and look, and I'm getting chills. I
Mhm.
did it. I'm through it. And this is the last little, and so they're different, but they're equally affects me. Yeah. Yeah.
I have had my areolas tattooed, and I knew from day one after I had gone through my reconstruction that I was going to do that. I
Mhm.
originally had talked to my plastic surgeon about creating, because in while you're in surgery and you're getting your all the things done, you can
Mhm.
actually create small um the nipples, I guess,
Yeah.
not that
Actual,
you can
yes.
the
Little
little
nubs,
the
little
nub,
nubs.
thank you, I couldn't think of
Uh-huh.
the right word.
Yeah.
You can create those, and
Mhm.
it but then I was like, I don't have to wear a bra now because I have nice perky breasts. But so why would I want to have little nubs? It's a very personal decision.
Right.
For me, I just wanted to look more normal, quote
Right.
unquote. And it was such a finish for me that I was in tears
See,
after I came home the first day
yeah.
and I was able to look at them, and it was so transformative for me. And
Mhm.
that's I and to this day it's something that I recommend to women who've gone through reconstruction, because it allows you to look in the mirror and not be shocked every time. And it's not for
Yes.
everybody, but
Right.
for me, it was really helpful. And I had a lot of work done on my left side
Mhm.
because that side had been previously radiated. I had a
Uh,
latissimus back flap. So
uh-huh.
bringing skin and muscle around. So I've got
Uh-huh.
a little section on my left breast that literally has a shape that looks like a football that came from my back.
Uh-huh.
And so you can definitely when it first was done, I was like, oh my gosh, I look like Frankenstein,
Oh,
but I don't. That
yes,
was just
I know.
what your head thinks. And But what I did to cover up those scars was I did a row of cherry blossoms. So
Yes.
I have my nipples done, but I also have the beautiful cherry blossoms covering
Mhm.
those scars. And it really is it. I love the symbolism of the cherry blossoms, and it's, not, there's people don't see them other than myself and my husband and all the people I've showed them off to over the years. But it's for me, it
It
really,
is.
it filled my heart to be able to feel more normal again, and then also put something beautiful on my body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the contrasting, I'm thinking cherry blossoms, that beautiful contrasting color on there. And cherry blossoms, that's strength and beauty through adversity
Mm-hmm.
and something beautiful. And you know what I like, and I see the cherry blossoms behind you is,
Yes.
yeah, that love, that color and the delicate flowers. And but the cherry blossoms have such a their wood is it's twisted and it's got character. And yeah, that's a wonderful symbolism.
And they keep coming back every year. You lose the blossoms, but every year they keep coming back no matter what you
Yes.
do to them. So all of
Yes.
that symbolism, I took it to heart. So we do
Mm-hmm.
need to take a quick break. We have so much more to talk about. Listeners, if you would like to know more about our Breast Friends programs, please go to our website under patient programs and you can see what we can do for you, or you can make a donation, because that's how we live, to serve more women who've gone through cancer. You can do that on our website or by texting BF Radio to 41444 to ensure that women do not go through cancer alone. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Michelle Beck, and my guest is Donna Luoma, owner and artist at Damselfly Inc. And we've been talking about restorative tattooing and all that it can do for you. So we're going to jump back up to brows, because I forgot to ask about the pain factor. When
Uh,
people think of tattooing, they're like, needles into my body, ow.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not so much with the areolas on the breast, because most of us who've gone through it, we don't have a lot of feeling or sensation on our breasts anymore. But what about the brows? I've had it done, because so I know what it feels like. But, and I'm not gonna lie, it brought tears to my eyes a little bit, but I handled it because beauty is pain. And how would you describe that to a new client who's curious? Like, what does it feel like?
Sure, sure. So when we go through the process and I get your pattern set, I actually take a row of needles and I gently scrape the top of your skin. It doesn't go in, but it just kind of exfoliates really good. So it's a little bit more intense than just a scratch, but it's not painful. And I put my first numbing cream on.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does, and we let it sit for about 10 minutes. So when then I take my tattoo machine and actually do your pattern that actually puts the needle into your skin, it's the pain's cut down by about 50 to 75% as if we didn't have it. So it feels like somebody is a very intense eyebrow tweezing session. We're talking no, 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 no. So
Mm-hmm.
it's likened to if you get a really severe burn on your shoulder. And then, your best friend comes over and goes, "Oh, look." And it kind of yipes and gives you a little sharp.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. And then once your pattern is set, then I put on the other numbing cream. It's got epinephrine, it's got tetracaine, and it has lidocaine in it. So the tetracaine and lidocaine work together as kind of a synergistic effect to really numb you up good. And after that, it's all pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I just reapply as I'm going back and forth. I just reapply. And sometimes somebody will say, "Oh, I'm starting to feel that a bit." So, oh, we stop, reapply, let it sit. So it's not completely painless. But it's, definitely not. Some people will sneeze. A lot of for some reason, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they're sneezing that goes on, some tears. But that first exfoliation set with the first numbing cream really knocks it out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And do you have yours done?
I do. That's what kind of got me started in kind of even thinking that direction. I got
Okay.
mine done up in Washington
Mm-hmm.
with the gal. She's part of the Society of Permanent Cosmetic Professionals. So even though it's Washington, I mean,
They still have a society. That's good.
they do. Yeah, they have a
Mhm.
professional organization. And so she is she's secretary up there, and she's working hard with that legislation. So I felt comfortable going up there and having her do my brows. So yeah, I've had my brows done for 12 years now.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I go back about every 2 years and get mine done. I religiously put sunscreen on so it helps to last. And I don't have really oily skin. That's another part. There's a lot of factors involved in
Mhm.
fading. And so I don't have really oily skin. So mine lasts pretty good. And yeah, mine are powder brows, like yours. Yeah, the difference, that's one of the on my frequently asked questions is I don't do microblading. I do
Mhm.
just powder brows because, well, I'm a machine girl. I got my machine and I didn't want to do microblading because eventually you're going to go to powder brows anyways, just like you did. It
Mhm.
happens, that your lines start to kind of fuzz. And after you get them done, they just kind of start to blend. And microblading too, you can get quite a bit of scarring, and scarring is not horrible, people. It's truly not. It's very light, and scars you can tattoo. It's just I would rather just go right to powder brows, and so that's what I offer because I love my machine.
Now, if someone gets a cancer diagnosis and
Yes.
they know they're going to have to go through chemotherapy, whether it is before or after surgery, and
Mhm.
they're generally going to lose their hair, you lose your
Oh,
brows, you
yep.
lose your nose hair, like the hair just goes.
Yeah.
How, like, some people are like, get a diagnosis and they're like, we're starting chemo in 3 weeks.
Yes.
So if someone really wants to keep their brows, is there time for them to come into you and say, hey, I'm going through this, I need to keep my brows, please help me?
Oh, yes. I had a gal, her name is Tamara, and she had that in her. She actually had I think 4 days, 3 or 4 days before, boom, it was being done. And so, yes, she got her first session done. There's usually 2 sessions. You have your first one that lays your pattern. I don't know how the pigment's going to heal in your skin because, again, a lot of factors. So the first session is always done lighter. I'd rather do less and have to add than get in there and do a
Because
whole bunch.
you can't take it away once it's
I
there.
know, right? I'm like, oh. So yeah, so she came in and I did light brows on her, and I matched her hair because that's what, I was like, so is this the hair that you're gonna have when you come back? Because she was gonna dye it, or she had it dyed. And yep, so we matched it with a little bit on the lighter side. And she wasn't able to come back for her perfecting appointments because she was in the middle of her chemo. But what I did say is, you know what, love, don't worry about it. Usually you want to have your perfecting appointment completed within 6 to 8 weeks to get because the secondary price, there's an initial price. The secondary price is a lot less. It's just to cover supplies, that
Mhm.
because I use the same supplies as I do on the second as I do on the first, but you're just paying for supplies for us to perfect. I told her, I says, love, I don't care whenever you get done with your chemo and your doctor releases you,
Mhm.
you come back, just pay for your supplies only. And because I was just thrilled, she came back and it was
Yeah.
so cute. She said, my best friend who's in California, we were talking, and she decided to just have her head, her skull exposed. She had gotten a hair something, what's it called, where you have a hat and your own hair is put here to kind of help you to, I
Oh
don't,
yeah. I don't know what it's called, but I know what you
yeah.
mean.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. She opted not to do that. And her best friend was like, honey, I see your hair's gone, but how are you keeping your eyebrows? I don't get it.
Mhm.
Bless her heart.
Magic.
Yeah, that's what she's
Restorative makeup
right. She's like,
magic.
oh, honey. So yeah. So for any of our warriors who do get the brows done and they have to get it done pretty quickly and they don't have time for that second appointment, there's no time limit for them to come back. It could be 6 months, it could be a year, whatever it may be. And that second appointment is strictly that second appointment.
Sure, because you cannot do this while you're in active treatment, in active chemo.
Exactly. Yep. Because
Mhm.
you're immunocompromised.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But even after the first appointment, you've got the pattern, you've got color
Yep.
there. It's
Yep.
just not as finished as it would be. So you're still And I would say if you lose your hair, you definitely don't want to have giant brows anyway. You just want
Exactly.
something there.
Yep. And that's part of when I put on all my advertisement is a hint of brow, a hint of brow.
Mhm.
And that's what really the first pattern is it's a hint. And then we go back in and then because some people want, I call it more of an editorial look where they go, I really would like a little bit bolder. And I call it, more editorial. So a little bit sharper line
Mhm.
fading out to the top. Or some people might just say, you know what, I just would like it's perfect the way it is, but can you just fix, I see a little spot here or a little spot there. And because your eye, I mean, as you look at your face, anything looks like this to you when everybody else goes, what? I don't, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I get that. So let's talk about the process to get your areolas done.
Oh, yes.
One thing that I was super frustrated about, and it had nothing to do with my artist, was just how long she wanted me to wait afterwards.
Uh-huh.
Because after my reconstruction was done because of the healing, and
Yes.
when I had gone in to see her, and she takes a look at everything and she's like, your scars are still pretty pink.
Yes.
They were bright pink, and I'm like, can I do it now? She's like, no, you need to wait
Mm-hmm.
because your skin needs time to heal.
Mm-hmm.
What How long do you tell patients they need to wait post reconstruction to start the areola process?
12 months, about 12 months.
Yeah.
It can vary. It kind of depends. Again, it depends on what your scars look like because your scars are going to fade. They're going
Mhm.
to fade and when they fade, anything that you put on top of them, it's not going to look the same as when you put it on. So if you adjust your pigment and your tone and everything for what you've got, and besides that, your scars need to mature. And when you mature, you're getting more collagen in there. You're getting a lot more things in there. So you need to have your scars matured. And also with regards to radiation is at least 6 months. Because again, radiation and it is very pinpointy. When they do radiation, you've got your little tattoo mark where they go
Mhm.
in there to really get that. But and that's part of my nursing that I understand is you've got your skin around that has been stirred up. It is not just that little pinpoint. That's the main one, but you've got all this around that is not healthy until it's got a chance to settle down and heal from that. So in my nursing, I've seen people who are too immunocompromised to get out. I've dealt with radiation burns. I've dealt with and I don't want to say it, warriors, incisions that have dehisced and they need packing and extra care.
Mhm.
I've done that in the home. So, I that's why I'm so blessed that these two meld together and I've got more of a not intimate because I haven't been in the position that you and your listeners have, but I've been there holding the hand. I've been there crying. Look at me, I'm like,
Mhm.
I've been there with the ladies. I've been there
Yeah.
to say, you know what, I can help you. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, we'll get through this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yeah, you've been there as a nurse and a caregiver, so you've
yeah,
seen what we go through, and
yeah.
it's a lot. And like as I said, for me, being able to get my tattoos done after my reconstruction, it really was a completion step for me. And
Yes.
yeah, I remember I wanted to like show them off to the world, and my husband's like, "Can you not do that?"
Right, right. Oh my God. See, and I thought, gosh, this could be, I'm on the happier side of, all this now. So,
Mhm.
I'm on the happy part of it. And I love it.
What if I know we've been talking, and I think it's somewhat implied, but not everyone that may want to get tattooing on their chest or on their scars has implants, because
Yes.
not everyone gets implants. But
Uh-huh.
if you do, is it is there a chance that like the needles could pop the implants or
Uh-huh.
anything like that? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I've had that question more than once. And, I love how critically thinking people are going, yeah, well, it's going in my skin. The dermis is literally no thicker than a nickel. It's actually between a dime thickness and a nickel thickness in the dermis. And your implants are underneath muscle. They're now they are. I mean, way back when it was more on the surface, but even then, I mean, unless you took your whole machine and went, "Hurrah," you can't get to it.
Yeah, that would be like a horror movie. We're not doing that.
Wouldn't it? Oh my goodness. So yeah.
And I remember I was a nervous wreck. Like I was
Oh,
so afraid because I'd had a tattoo previously. I have a seashell on my hip because
uh-huh.
my family and friends growing up, they call me Shell. Like
Oh,
that's my name. It always has been. And so I did that when I was in my 20s, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to hurt. Like when I'm in
yeah.
there getting my breast done. But and she gave me lidocaine cream and all the things to put on.
Yep.
But there's so little sensation left
Mm-hmm.
that it was literally my nerves that were causing me more pain than the actual tattooing process of my
Yeah.
areolas. And I'm not going to lie, I sweated through that paper that was on
Did you
on the
really?
table that first day because I
Oh,
was so nervous. And
oh,
afterwards I was like, oh, that's not a big deal.
that's
Can
not that bad. Yeah. Yeah.
How many if you're doing areolas for someone, how many sessions do you do? What's the process for that?
So there, just like with brows, there's always a perfecting. So yeah, really the first one again not only sets your pattern, but then gets all the all your little nooks and crannies and crevices and all the little. You don't want it to look flat. You want it to have depth. You want it to be 3D. And so the first one is setting all that in. But what we don't know is how is it going to heal in your every skin is different. Everybody heals differently, and you can take one color that will heal true. You can have another one heal too cool, and you have to come back and then tone it. It kind of depends. And a unilateral areola needs to be restoration needs to be matched to your current one that you have. So the second one is to really get your tone right, and then you add a little bit more shade here and there, whatever you think. I had one gal, bless her heart, she hadn't had her breasts done because she had scarring that she was so distressed about. She didn't want to have them done. And her daughter was with me when I was in tattoo school. And so her daughter, bless her heart, she was one of my canvases. And so she came to me because I've got a private studio. It's not a tattoo parlor, it's a
Mhm.
private studio. And when she got done, she cried, I cried. And when she came back, for her perfecting appointment, she's laying and she looked at me and she says, now, Donna, my husband said, please don't mess them up. He likes them just the way they are. Yeah. So, I just did a few minor things and that was it. So it really depends on what I see,
Mhm.
and what needs to be done the second time around.
How do you get the 3D look?
Right. It's all about it's a play on your eye, and it's all about using shadow wisely and sparingly, because if you do it too much, it looks like just some stripe blob. So it's using dots, believe it or not all. It's not pointillism completely, but you're utilizing dots, you're utilizing little flicks. And if you um imagine a drawing, like any, and you've got your ball, you've got your shadow, you've got your cast shadow, you've got your light source, all that all that plays in. And then it's also to utilize your scars, actually can help to make it look even more 3D. Just depends.
And you're using different colors as well.
Oh yes, yes. Use usually I have a standard warm mink is my favorite. I use warm mink. Yeah.
Mhm.
Warm mink is my favorite shadow, and then I use dark mink as my little dots just to give it that pop. But then everything else, your areola color and your nipple color, those are different, and I can use anywhere up to two or three different kinds. And
Perfect.
that's on your first one. And then your second session, when you come back, of course, I've got detailed notes on what I've done, where things are at. And then from there, we just kind of add or see if anything needs to be done.
Got it. I do have more questions on this, but we're going to take a short break. So, listeners, stay with us. If you would like to be a guest on my show or submit your warrior story or even sponsor an episode, please email me at michellebeck@breastfriends.org. Stay with us. We'll be back in a minute. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Michelle Beck, and my guest is Donna Luoma, tattoo artist and owner at Damselfly Inc. And after the show, please go check out her gallery on damselflyinc.com, and you can see examples of everything that we've been talking about, the 3D areolas, the brows, and other tattoo work that she has done. She's definitely an artist. But Donna, before break, we were talking about the process of the actual areola tattooing and how that works.
Mhm.
And so what if they're actually scars on, because breast reconstruction is done differently depending on your surgeon, depending on if you have implants, or how it all works, and there's going to be scars no matter what. So can you tattoo over them, and how does it change what your tattoo is going to look like?
Mhm. Mhm.
Let's talk about that process.
Yeah. So scars, once they're mature, they can be tattooed, but scars you have to treat a little bit differently than skin that hasn't, of course, been damaged. In the fact that you got to be a little bit lighter. You got to make sure that when the needle goes in, that you leave a lot of space between them. Not that you could see with your eyes, just that I know, in order so that the skin isn't damaged. Scars heal cooler than the surrounding skin. So when I'm looking at a breast and I'm looking at the areola and where the nipple placement and making sure that we're as level as possible, we've got the right distance. If the surgeon's left a little nub, where the nub's at, do we need to adjust? I mean, everything's all about taking what you have and getting it as symmetrical as possible
Mhm.
so that, and it's tricking the eye. And that's what I love about it. It's tricking the eye and the brain will fill in the rest. And so I like to use scars as part of the 3D process if possible, because they're great for doing that and giving a little more interest. And so you just have to be aware. And so usually on the second appointment is when we come back and see how did the pigment heal in the scars, and then there, if I need to warm it up with maybe a sunset wash, or if I have to do something different like that.
Now, you've mentioned a couple times that the cooling of your skin, that stars
Mhm.
heal cooler. What does that mean?
Well, it's all about tone, and women are a lot better. We actually have more rods and cones in our one of, I don't know whether it's a rod or a cone in our eye, but we actually do see color better than men because we have more of one of those for color. And so when you heal and you get either a warm tone or a cool tone, you can just look at it and go, yeah, I think we need to warm it up a little bit. And so you put literally a orange wash over it, and when the pigment goes into the skin, it mixes with the cool that's already there, and then it brings you into your final color. So it's all about a tone. Yeah, yeah.
Who knew?
I
And
know.
is it true that the colors on our areolas are actually the colors of our lips? Have you heard that before? Because I've heard that.
Well, yes, I have heard that, and yes, it is very similar.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
So that kind of, I mean, you have your colors that you use, the warm mink and that, or what was that called? Your favorite color?
Warm mink,
Okay,
yes,
I did
warm
remember
mink.
correctly.
You got it. Yes,
That's
you did.
amazing with my
Uh
cancer brain.
huh.
So, but you obviously, and you changing for skin tone, obviously you and I are both
Yes.
very fair, but
Mhm.
if a person of color came into you and they
Mhm.
have much darker skin, you obviously, you
I
are an
blend the warm
artist.
mink. Yes, I
Yeah.
blend the warm mink with something else.
Mhm.
Because you get a couple colors that you get consistently that you kind of have over, because it's all about looking and seeing what the result is and then going from there. And so yeah, from there then I just kind of mix and get my different tones. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right on. You're an artist yourself.
Well, I have other ways of expressing. I'm not, I do coloring. Literally, I have coloring sheets in front of me, and my one I'm looking at right now, because I change them out all the time, because I do
Mhm.
this at night when we're watching TV. I just color the coloring books, and
Yes.
the one I have right here right now says zero fucks given. So
Yes.
so my artistry needs some direction, but
Aw.
I'll take it.
Oh.
So let's talk about something that is usually on many minds of women, or people in general as they're going through something like this. What does
Mhm.
something like this cost?
Mm.
Because after going through a cancer treatment, all we've seen is bills, bills, bills.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
At some point people are like, God, I just can't put out another dollar, but this is something that's so important to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you charge for things like this?
Oh, and you would ask me these numbers. Look, and I'm not a numbers person. I'm a
I,
drawing
I'm
person.
not
So,
either. I
and I'm like, what? Where is it? So, and it so just to give your listeners just a general idea that areolas can be anywheres from just one between $200 and $400. That's kind of the
Mhm,
going rate around here. And then for bilateral, anywheres from $350 to $800.
mhm.
Crazy. And so I charge for a unilateral, I charge 235.
Okay.
And then for bilateral, I charge 445.
Okay.
And then anyone who, because I have my own studio, so
Mhm.
my husband, bless his heart, he has been my biggest supporter. He retroed one of our bedrooms into a private studio, so I don't
Nice.
have that overhead.
Mhm.
And it's to me, it's
More
yes,
comfortable going into a private home, honestly,
ah,
than into a studio doing this where you're getting this done and you're very exposed anyway.
yes,
And I will say most, well, many women, I could give a F if I'm exposed anywhere because
I
I've so
love it.
desensitized now.
Right.
Um, but having the comfort of knowing that someone's not going to look over the partition,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're going through emotions, if you go through this and you have a crying session because
Mm-hmm.
so many, I mean, you're working on something that is so important that you could be just on your own. So I so
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that you have this private studio in your
It
home.
is. Yeah, yeah. I don't have the overhead. I can offer this. I can offer this. That's one thing for me. It's like, I'm a working person. I get it. And then to have all those bills come up and on and on, and I wish I could. I've gotten this question a lot. I wish I could bill insurance companies. I can't. I've been
Mhm.
looking into seeing what it would take to be able to do that. Not quite sure that process. So you would now insurance will reimburse you. You have to pay up front. And
Mhm.
then a couple ways to go about it. I have a letter that will have my NPI number. That's a national registry for Medicare and Medicaid to
Okay.
provider in order to, that's part of what insurance requires. So I have a letter that has my NPI number. It's got the ICD-10 number on what the procedure was done, and insurance needs that for their purposes of
Mhm.
paperwork. Some insurance companies require their own paperwork to be filled out, which I can certainly do and sign at the session, and then I
Sure.
give you a receipt too. And then yeah, and then you reimburse it to your insurance company for that.
Perfect. And what
Yeah.
about brows? How much do those run?
Browse run $345, and
Okay.
then the follow-up session is 85.
Got it.
Yeah.
And because it's something that, nobody really wants to talk about money, but you're hearing these things. I'm like, okay, how much is it going to cost me if I want to do this? So
Yeah.
that
Well, a caveat, what again, because with my private studio not having a big overhead, I have more freedom, I think, than a lot. Plus, I still nurse. So
Mhm.
this is truly is something that I do because it's fulfilling for me. It gets my artist heart pumping, helps people. So I am donating anyone who mentions that they came to me through Breast Friends. I donate 50% of the proceeds. I donate directly to Breast Friends.
And thank you so much for that, Donna. It's so appreciated.
Sure.
And I'm definitely gonna, when I republicize this, put that in all the notes. So
Yeah.
we'll take
Yeah.
some little snippets and do that because it's we all have to work together in this community. So we're
Yeah.
we're very appreciative of that.
Oh.
So what, gosh, we only have a couple minutes left because
Mhm.
we could talk all day about these things.
Sure. Sure.
What
Sure.
what do you like best about this part of your new life? This is your passion career. I mean, you
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
still love the nursing and what you're doing, but
Yeah.
what keeps you doing this every day?
The transformation when I'm done, and I call them truth bumps, is I get this wash of truth bumps when I'm asking myself, do I need to do more? Do I need to do more? And the truth bumps say, nope, this is it. Look, I'm getting them again.
Hmm.
And then I stop and I go, all right, we're done. Take a look. And wah, it's like I get that cartoon wah in my head. So it's transformation and knowing that, I was a part of that, and to hear the stories, golly, I'm just so blessed.
I love that. And I remember feeling that transformation as well. You know,
Yeah.
you're laying there on the table and someone's doing work on you and you're nervous and you're like, oh my gosh, what's this going to do? It's,
Yeah.
you know, yes, they're permanent. Yes, they fade,
Mhm.
but other than they're really permanent and, you know, you're nervous. And then, you know, going in that morning and looking at, you know, the reconstruction without anything on it, and which you get used to it because I had had them for a year before I got my tattooing done.
Uh-huh.
But then coming out of it and seeing like, wow, like this is the new me, and it literally it blows your mind.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm very thankful. I had mine done from Mary Jane Hake. I can never pronounce her name right. She was one of the preeminent,
Mary,
yeah,
yes.
preeminent
Oh my goodness.
tattoo artist, and I love her. She's a little nutty, but she now does,
Most artists are, I'm just
yeah,
saying.
she now does a product called Hip Hemp, which actually natural lube products for women.
Really?
Yeah, so if you're having lube issues or whatever, check out Hip Hemp. But
Hemp.
anyway, yeah, Mary Jane was great. I got in right before she was kind of retired from the insurance
Ah, you
billings. I was
lucky
like,
girl.
yes.
Yeah, uh-huh. Uh-huh.
um
Uh-huh.
so what is the hardest part of this? We've just talked about the best. What's the
Right.
hardest part?
I got to tell you, two hardest parts. One is having to wear masks now
Mm,
completely.
yeah.
That's tough, but you know, it is what it is. So wearing a mask, I
Mhm.
mean, I did before when I was getting up close, I would have you wear a mask when but now just like with sitting with filling out the paperwork, and so I would say wearing masks. And then the other one is when my ladies cry, oh my God, I'm just blinking and I'm like, oh, should nope, and I just bawl with them. So that's
But
that's it.
you have that empathy for them and you can understand. Other than your brows, do you have any tattoos?
I do. You know, my husband says, honey, you know, you're going to have to get a tattoo since you're a tattoo artist. So you know what it feels like. And I said, but honey, I got my brows done. And he's like, that
He's like,
doesn't
no,
count.
you have to have something that you can say, hey, look, here's this, here's that.
Right. So I've got a horse. Let's see if I can.
Ooh,
So I've,
beautiful.
and some people think it's a dragon. And I'm like, well, I call my horse my dragon. So that's okay.
Mhm.
And then this is my spirit pony, always above my heart.
Oh my God, I love those
That's my spirit
colors.
pony. Yeah.
Oh,
So
beautiful. Donna,
uh,
wow. Thank you so much for sharing all of this amazing information today. I am it. I am so thankful to have you here. It's been great. And we talked about this months ago, and I've been really looking forward to this episode because obviously
oh,
it's so close to my heart. Literally, we have like 30 seconds. If you have one
yes.
piece of advice that you can tell our listeners about
Oh,
this process and the restorative tattooing, what would it be?
well, you know,
I know I
I
saved
would,
the big question for the
I know
end.
you did. You're like, thanks. So I got 30 seconds to think of something good. You know what? If you're thinking about doing something, research it, look, and then just take a deep breath and go with grace. And yeah, that's all your listeners can offer me advice. Okay.
Well, I love that. So, Donna, thank you so much. Again, listeners, you can find Donna at damselflyinc.com. And what's your Facebook? Is it also Damselfly Inc. or is it just under you?
It is just under
Okay.
damselflyinc.com. Oh my goodness. I just, that social media stuff.
I get it. It's not for everybody. So,
It's
but definitely listeners, please go to her website and check out the amazing artistry that Donna does. And
oh,
Donna, thank you again for being here today.
and thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Listeners, if you or a loved one need our services, please go to our website under patient programs and see what we can do for you. Or you can make a donation there and help support this show by texting BF Radio to 41444. If you would like to find our past podcasts, you can find them on the Voice America Health and Wellness channel. Search for Breast Friends Cancer Support Network or wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to be my guest or send me your warrior story or sponsor an episode or more, I can be reached at Michelle Beck at breastfriends.org. We'll be back next week. And until then, remember, we rise by lifting each other.